But I wanted to get to a bigger point. Because the time comes, somewhat pun intended, for us to take the gloves off when it comes to Jake Paul.
After I beat Mike Tyson, the amount of people saying this is rigged was crazy.
And I can break his mentality, then I've broken Jake. So this is why it's going to be an interesting fight, because I just don't look at it from a physical standpoint.
Stephen A. Smith is said to have reacted in disbelief after Mike Tyson and Anthony Joshua publicly called out Jake Paul over alleged attempts to influence fights. He warned that boxing is being pushed to its limits, insisting the sport can no longer tolerate what he described as circus-style events. Smith suggested Paul should be removed from serious competition, claiming these bouts feel more like pre-arranged business ventures than real fights. In his view, this trend shows disrespect toward true professionals and is harming boxing's reputation on a global scale.
One of the things that I'm talking about here, boxing's a skill. Let me give y'all an example. Remember Francis Ngannou? Remember that monster? That Nigerian nightmare? Remember him? And then we saw him show up and show a little skill against Tyson Fury, who came there out of shape. What happened when he got into the ring with Anthony Joshua? He got put to sleep, much in the same way Nate Robinson got put to sleep. Boxing is a skill.
Anthony Joshua has made his position unmistakable. When questioned about whether he would take it easy on Jake Paul or agree to any special arrangements, AJ shut the idea down immediately. He emphasized that he competes seriously and without conditions, as expected of a world-class champion. Joshua stated he would never put his legacy on the line for novelty matchups or predetermined results, and that he refuses to sacrifice the integrity of boxing for hype or financial gain.
See, with Jake, what I learned about Jake is, so when you look at the physicality stuff, and as you said, he's looking at my chest, I think Jake is someone where I got to beat him mentally because he's a mental person. This is my observation. A lot of what Jake's preparation is based around is not only the physical aspects of training, but the way he thinks, meditation, breath work. And if I can break his soul and I can break his mentality, then I've broken Jake. So this is why it's going to be an interesting fight, because I just don't look at it from a physical standpoint. I know the person that's in front of me, and I know that I got to break it. That's what I said, I got to take his soul. It's not just physical, I got to take your soul in the ring.
Only person that can do that is God.
I knew he was going to say that.
Is he f***ing with your brain?
No, I don't know. That's what I was gonna ask, is how do you plan on doing that? Like, when is it gonna start? I mean, obviously in the fights it's different, you know, but I mean, when are you gonna start taking it?
I've just seen in fights when I can see someone's, let's call it energy, frequency leaving their body. And that's what my goal is to do the same to you. You have that instinct. You can see it. When you're fighting, you can just see a small glimmer of someone that's just about to start fading. And then you just keep exploiting that, keep exploiting that until some people give up, some people get knocked out. We'll figure out. But as I said, for me, it's not just going in there and being dominating physically. I want to break him down spiritually and mentally.
That's some deep boxing you just...
Mike Tyson is said to have hinted that Jake Paul tried to influence how certain parts of the fight would play out. Tyson made it clear that money was never his motivation, explaining that he is already financially comfortable and that the match would not alter his way of life. He shared that his decision to return to the ring was personal, not financial. Reports suggest Tyson wasn't chasing a paycheck and firmly rejected any effort to dictate the result.
Walk away from.
This fight is not going to change my lifestyle financially. I'm a fighter. I feel good. I can do it. I feel I can beat this guy.
Come on. Well, we're gonna be in the building. I'm gonna be there. Speaking of the exhibition with Roy, like when that exhibition happened, man, I felt like it was two of my uncles.
Joe Rogan has spoken about what he sees as a recurring strategy in Jake Paul's boxing journey. He claims Paul often selects opponents who may be larger in size but pose fewer tactical risks, suggesting these choices are deliberate rather than random. Rogan believes these matchups generate huge attention and star power, benefiting Paul no matter the result. Pointing to Mike Tyson, he notes that legendary figures draw massive audiences simply by appearing in the ring. In his view, this shifts the focus from pure competition to entertainment, leading some fans to question whether these fights are legitimate sporting contests or carefully controlled events built for maximum exposure and profit.
Different thing with that guy.
Well, it's like Matt always says, play to your strengths.
Yeah,
no
but
doubt.
you know, you got to take that payday. I mean, what did he make out of that fight? He probably made $10 million or something.
Yeah.
And Jake Paul's very smart, man. Like he gets guys that he's bigger
than,
the only
younger
time
than.
he fought another boxer his size was
He
Tom
lost.
Fury, and he lost. Tom Fury?
Good fight.
Tommy Fury.
Very
Tommy
good
Fury.
fight. Very good fight. You know, I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber.
For sure. It's easy to dismiss him, but I was there when he knocked out Tyron, and I was like, man, I'm done with this kid. I never wanted to corner another fight in my life, man. I was like, yo, he just knocked my boy flat out on his face, man.
Jake Paul has pushed back strongly against the allegations, rejecting them as false. He argues that many of these claims are invented by people who resent his rise in the sport. According to Paul, accusations of scripted fights are simply a way for critics to deny his improvement as a boxer. He points out that official boxing commissions regulate every bout and would not permit any form of illegal interference. Paul maintains that all his opponents enter the ring by choice and that his wins come from disciplined training and preparation. In his view, the non-stop criticism shows that he has shaken up the boxing establishment and challenged long-standing fans to accept changes they would rather ignore.
I beat Mike Tyson. The amount of people saying this is rigged was crazy. They like showed this clip of Mike Tyson going to swing at me with a left hook, and he like stopped doing it, but saw I had my right hand up. So he would have like swung like this, I catch it and shoot. He's leaning forward, like I could have knocked him out. So that's why he stopped throwing it. And it's like they play this one clip and it has literally 50 million views on TikTok, but the average.
The matchup between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua quickly revealed a serious imbalance. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping reacted forcefully, stating that Paul was far from being prepared to compete against a top-tier heavyweight like Joshua. He framed the fight as a clear example of authentic professional boxing, where precision, experience, and timing determine the outcome. Joshua's shots were sharp and powerful, highlighting the difference in ability. Bisping emphasized that the outcome was unavoidable, explaining that Paul simply did not possess the defense, awareness, or overall skill set needed to last against a world-class fighter of Joshua's caliber.
No, that wasn't the case at all. What we saw, in my humble opinion, because I'm a big Anthony Joshua fan. Of course, I've been a supporter for the longest time. A rather lackluster, unmotivated Anthony Joshua that didn't look like he was being particularly nasty, right? A lot of the time he was out of range, and okay, it is hard to land a shot on someone that's backing up and moving away the whole time. And there was a lot of times where he had him in the corner and he could have thrown a shot. And sometimes he was telegraphing his shots. And anytime he did go in to throw a punch, as I said before, Jake Paul would shoot in and turn it into a wrestling match. And even when he wasn't shooting in, he was clinching a lot. This is boxing, it's not MMA as we know. The referee should have done a much better job of getting in there and separating them much, much faster. As I say, it was the 6th round. I think it was the 4th round he got dropped twice. In the 5th round he got through it. In the 6th round, caught him with the jab, a glancing right hook, he goes down, and that was that. That was all she wrote, right? I did a live, there was about 9,000 people watching at one point. Nobody was particularly enjoying the matchup. Listen, okay? I respect both men. I respect anyone really that steps into the ring, okay? And certainly going up against Anthony Joshua, that was a tall task, okay? You know, metaphorically and figuratively, right? It was a tall task. It was a big job. It was a tough opponent. It was a mismatch, and it was, right? Jake Paul never worried Anthony Joshua once. He never rung his bell. He never caused any damage. He never had him worried. He never did anything. It wasn't a fight. It was a display of how long can Jake Paul last? Can he run away long enough to...
Many critics believe influencer-driven boxing has altered the sport's foundation. With YouTubers and celebrities stepping into the ring, attention has shifted away from technical excellence and long-term legacy toward views, hype, and revenue. In their eyes, matchups are increasingly designed for publicity rather than pure ability. What was once an art built on discipline and skill now appears, to some, to be overshadowed by branding and promotion. While these events generate huge profits through sponsorships and streaming platforms, skeptics argue that financial returns often take priority over sporting integrity. For longtime fans, influencer boxing feels less like true competition and more like choreographed entertainment with boxing aesthetics.
Boxing's pretty rigged overall.
Oh, yes, rigged, dude. I mean, so many politics, even with, MMA, man, there's so many politics. There's no more art anymore. It's just, let's get an influencer in there. I get it. It's like generating money because our attention span is so short. You look at clips now, it's like 7 seconds. I saw a dude slamming a lady the other day and they were like, oh my God, that dude is, I'm like, well, what the do? I'm just gonna pick somebody and slam them. Where's the whole video? And our attention span is just so small. So money talks, of course. Yeah, let's get an influencer in there who has no style, but it draws.
Many fans and analysts reacted negatively to the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight, calling it confusing and uncomfortable to watch. Critics felt the contest lacked a natural rhythm and appeared unusually controlled. Given Tyson's reputation as one of the most intimidating fighters in boxing history, the restrained performance raised even more questions. Viewers wondered why he seemed hesitant and why key moments that might have shifted the fight never happened. For skeptics, this matchup represents the core issue with influencer boxing. They argue that iconic fighters are being used to add legitimacy to modern spectacles rather than to compete at full intensity. As more clips circulate online, scrutiny continues to grow. Observers highlight sequences where aggression appears reduced and the tempo feels deliberate instead of organic. The pacing, they say, doesn't resemble what fans expect from genuine high-stakes boxing. While there is no confirmed evidence of wrongdoing, these visual details have fueled ongoing debate. As a result, the fight is frequently cited whenever discussions about scripted or controlled bouts surface, reinforcing public skepticism around Jake Paul's most high-profile matchups.
Netflix is currently being sued over their Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And it's not because people think the fight was rigged, though I have questions, and that's what we'll get into. It's because it didn't work, and a lot of people were buffering and unable to watch it despite signing up to pay for it. Now, the bigger question I have about this fight is, how come no one is suing over the fight being rigged? There's a lot of questions, and there's evidence piling up that suggests it may have been somewhat rigged. Now, there's varying degrees of arguments. The first is that Tyson was required to complete 8 rounds for money. Some say that's how it was rigged. He's not going to go all out to shut down Jake Paul because he wants $20 million. Others have said he was told he's not allowed to do uppercuts because that would end Jake Paul and probably hurt him very badly. Those are the two principal conspiracies, I suppose. One is that Mike Tyson actually pulled his punches completely and tried to avoid fighting, which falls in line with that first conspiracy, I suppose, of rigging. Now, of course, my friends, if you watched my video from before the fight, I thought it was going to be rigged for Tyson. Jake Paul doesn't look good having beat up an old man. I'm like, they're going to do something to have Mike Tyson win in the later rounds, and that way it'll be like the boomers and the Gen Xers who love boxing will see the champ fight one more time. Jake Paul is a young man. There's no harm in a young man losing to the great Tyson. They might say you got beat up by an old man. I'll be like, it was Mike Tyson. But maybe Jake Paul's got too much of an ego for that. So I was wrong. What I was right about, I was half right. I said if Jake Paul wins this, people are going to be pissed. And it sucked. We all watched it. And then we were like...
Nikisa Bidarian responded to the backlash by firmly rejecting any claims of scripting or interference. He stated that such behavior would be both illegal and impossible within the rules of professional boxing. Bidarian also suggested that Jake Paul's performance was stronger than what the official scorecards reflected in multiple rounds. He added that criticism and defeat are unavoidable aspects of the sport, particularly for fighters with massive public attention. According to him, despite the negative reaction, Jake has continued to gain supporters. In his view, increased fame naturally brings increased hostility, and controversy often follows high-profile figures regardless of the facts.
Against Anthony Joshua.
So that would have meant, 3-2 for Joshua heading into the 6th round, which again, a lot of people thought that he would dispose of him rather quickly. Can you give us an update on how he's doing? We know that he broke his jaw in multiple places, 2 places to be exact, and I believe he has revealed that he's had surgery since. How is he doing? How is he feeling?
He's doing great. Obviously, There's periods of time during the day where there's a lot of pain, periods of time where there is no pain actually. Recovery process is 5 to 6 weeks, and he's focused on coming back as a boxer in 2026. This is a sport that he loves. This is a sport that saved him from the path that he was on in the past. And I think in a funny way, I'm kind of glad he didn't win. And I know that may sound harsh, but imagine if Jake Paul, 5 years into the sport in reality, probably 3 years into the sport in terms of 3.5 years in terms of fighting top level competition who are fighters, beat Anthony Joshua. What would be the motivation to continue to get better, to double down on your training, to grind even harder had he had beaten Anthony Joshua? So Jake always says the best lessons or the best wins are from your losses, and I believe that happened with Tommy Fury, and I 100% believe that happened here. Because if Jake is truly passionate about this sport, he now realizes that he has to even commit more time, more resources, more days into elevating his craft.
So you know, the injury obviously is different than your typical injury, because obviously it's right there, that's where you're getting punched, and as we were talking about with Eddie earlier, like that could sometimes change the trajectory of one's career, and there are some people who don't come back, some do. Some have had great careers after breaking their jaw. Is there any part of you after seeing that says to yourself, hey man, you've made millions of dollars, it's been incredible, we built this thing, it's lasting far longer than your career, right? MVP can be a thing with or without Jake. You saw the event in July. We don't need to do this anymore. You proved your point. I don't want to see you get hurt.
I think that's ultimately...
Jake Paul's conduct leading up to the Tyson fight added another layer of doubt for critics. Before entering the ring, he openly declared that he already knew he would win. While confidence is normal in combat sports, some felt his certainty went beyond trust in training. His relaxed attitude and unwavering statements gave observers the impression that he expected events to play out in a predictable way. To skeptics, this came across less like competitive belief and more like foreknowledge. After the fight, Paul's reaction only intensified the debate. Rather than showing exhaustion or emotional release, his body language appeared calm and satisfied. Fans contrasted this with the visible relief and intensity typically displayed by fighters after difficult contests. This difference led some to suspect the matchup never carried genuine danger. Supporters viewed his demeanor as professionalism and maturity, but critics saw it as further evidence that the outcome was never truly in doubt. Similar skepticism resurfaced during Jake Paul's bout with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Many viewers were struck by Chavez's unusually passive performance. He threw minimal punches and rarely applied pressure, giving the impression that he was present without fully engaging. For a fighter with his experience, the lack of urgency puzzled fans and fueled claims that the contest was never meant to be competitive. Critics questioned why a seasoned boxer would fight with such low intensity unless motivation, or stakes, were missing altogether.
Mike Tyson, successful. That's a really interesting choice, because it is a choice. And if you look at 90% of fights out there and you ask the person what's going to happen, they speak about what they're going to do physically. You know, I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to give him a beating, I'm going to win, something about their capacity physically. But this is Mike Tyson successful. And if you really think about that, if you look at this fight and look at the outcome, I would say since one half left with $40 million and the other half, the sum that's being talked about is $20 million, yeah, I would say that's pretty successful. Basically what I'm saying is that the adjective successful doesn't necessarily speak to the result of the fight. It doesn't necessarily speak to his capacity in the fight. It could be successful monetarily. It could be successful in the sense that he lasted at his age 8 rounds, so he feels like that's a personal success. Then he says victorious, which I guess is much more related to him suggesting that he's actually going to win. He's going to be the victorious one in the fight. And it's interesting that he said victorious as opposed to I'm going to win, I'm going to knock him out, which is a more concrete promise, quote unquote. But still, that successful is really interesting to me, that's where his mind went first. Then, after he provides the answer, Mike Tyson, successful, victorious, he himself changes the subject. He immediately gets off the topic and says, today is Ramadan, it's my holy holiday, so I can't say how I truly feel. Which, saying that he can't say how he truly feels, really corresponds with that lip...
Pauli Malignaggi offers a different interpretation of the situation. He suggests the problem may not involve any fixed outcome, but rather financial motivation. From this perspective, Julio's low activity in the ring reflects poor preparation and diminished drive rather than scripting. Malik Nagy explains that when fighters step into a bout mainly for the paycheck, their competitive hunger fades. Without a strong desire to win, performance naturally declines. This view shifts responsibility away from Jake Paul while still exposing deeper issues within influencer boxing, where the system can reward participation over passion and pride.
A couple of shocking results. I think that Jake Paul on the cards and the promotional arm of his brand, I think, is the most fun part of what Jake Paul brings to boxing. Honestly, I think long term, I think that's what we can hold hope for. Because Jake's fights are, this one was borderline atrocious, and kind of the writing was on the wall. But I gotta admit, even I drank the Kool-Aid, and mainly I drank the Kool-Aid because Chavez Sr., who also is disgraceful for doing this, made me believe, and I think, this has been the problem with Chavez Jr. He's been enabled constantly by the media, the promoters, his family, and all this other stuff. So he never really shows up prepared. He never cares and just shows up to get paid and basically steals the bag every single time. And he did it tonight again. The reason I actually thought this fight had a chance was because Chavez Sr. Guaranteed us that his son was motivated and was having a training camp. So as much of a Hall of Fame career as a father had, the con artist, I guess, must run in the family, because Junior's been a con artist his whole career, but at least he's been enabled through it, But now the father doing this, I mean, you knew already your son wasn't going to be ready. You put your own reputation on the line and sold us this crap. And then ultimately your son throws what most guys will throw in a round. He throws it through 10 rounds. It was actually kind of...
That wraps things up for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.